From red, green and blue all the way back in the 90s to present day with Sword and Shield, Pokémon has changed in many ways. New mechanics, such as Mega Evolution, Dynamax and Z-moves, help to keep the game fresh, along with a continuously growing roster of Mons to add to the excitement each generation. Along with these changes, there's also been a lot of features that have remained the same throughout the years, namely the battle and item mechanics. However, one thing that certainly for me has remained a mystery all the way from Generation 1 is where did Professor Oak and all the other professors, for that matter, get the starter Pokemon? Every single generation of Pokemon game starts with the player taking on the role of a young and budding Pokemon trainer, undertaking the role of filling the Pokedex and other such tasks. At the beginning of every one of these journeys, you are gifted a Pokemon of significant strength. These Pokemon are dubbed the Starters. Upon being given one of these Pokemon, we are told that they are very rare and in limited quantity. In fact, these are the only ones that we will catch and see in our entire playthrough. But why? Why are these specific Pokemon so rare? And if they are so rare, why are they just giving them out to 10-year-olds like us? Now, I have a few theories about this. First off, maybe these Pokemon that we're being given aren't native to the region that we started in. This would explain the incredibly low population in the wild and the reasoning behind their rarity. It would also explain why you don't see any other trainers, or very few other trainers, using these Pokemon in battles throughout the region. If they do, it's few and far between. Very few trainers actually run any of these Pokemon, starters, the middle evolution, or the full evolution. This goes for all the generation of games. Now, my only problem with this is that if they aren't native to the region that we're given them in, which region are they native to? Because out of the 8 generation of Pokemon games that we have, and the 8 regions we've been to, let's look at Bulbasaur for example. We get given him in Kanto. We can't catch him in any of the other 7 regions. He's not available in any of the 7 other regions, Johto, Hoenn, and Sinnoh. Where is he from? Where is Bulbasaur from? We're given him in Kanto, yet we can't catch him anywhere else. So does that kill this theory? I think the weirdest thing about this theory is that it tends to just be 3 Pokemon from each region. You have the starters, Bulbasaur, Charmander, Squirtle, but why not any of the other Pokemon? Why not Mankey? Why not Arbok? Why not Psyduck? We can get all those Pokemon in other regions and the region it's native to, Kanto. So why can't we find these specific 3 Pokemon or the rest of the starters throughout the games? It doesn't make any sense. Now, moving away from that point of view, I want to look at it from a different perspective. What if there's rules on these Pokemon? What if they can only be given out to trainers that can be trusted? This would make sense in regards to Hoenn. At the start of the Ruby, Sapphire and Emerald games, we are only given a Pokemon after we save Professor Burge from a wild Poochyena. This would show that we're a trusted trainer, we're someone that knows how to handle them, someone that's going to use them for good, and this is the reason why we're given one. This theory is also good reasoning as to why you never see an evil team use a starter Pokemon, or why it's such a huge deal when Silver steals a starter from Elm's lab at the beginning of Generation 2. Again though, this theory has many flaws to it. The biggest one being, if grown adults aren't capable of using one of these incredibly strong and rare Pokemon, then why would a 10-year-old kid? Especially when it comes to the start of Diamond, Pearl and Platinum. Instead of doing anything to prove yourself, you literally just have to ask the professor and he gives you a Pokemon. He literally just gives it to you. Also, who is the one deciding this? Is there a Pokemon government? Is there a president or something that makes the laws about which Pokemon can and can't be used? When you really get into this one, it starts to make less sense. One thing that is actually never really mentioned in any of these games, or anime as far as I'm aware, is the fact that all of these starter Pokemon have a gender ratio of 87.5% male. Is there the potential that these species of Pokemon are just unable to breed in the wild due to the lack of female counterparts? But then, this asks the question, why is there such a low percentage of female starters? I guess that's a question for another time. This kind of feeds in though to my last theory, that is actually half believable based on some information given via the anime. It's that these starters are given to professors specifically to be gifted to beginner trainers like us. In episode 25 of season 6 of the anime, Ash, Brock, May and Max come across a Mudkip breeder who explains to them that he gets given Pokemon by the Pokemon League and that he breeds them for the purpose of helping out the species. It is also mentioned within this episode that Professor Birch is also a recipient of these Pokemon. Now this doesn't give us an exact answer, however, it does tell us a few things. Firstly, the Pokemon League dispenses these rare Pokemon to specific people. Could it be possible that the starter Pokemon are bred and given only to a select few trainers, breeders and professors for the safety of the breed? These individuals would be trusted to give the Pokemon the best quality of life via either breeding or training. Secondly, these Pokemon are being cared for by certain individuals that have been sought out by the Pokemon League. This tells us that these Pokemon are endangered enough that they require specific habitats to keep them safe, much like how certain animals are taken into zoos in the real world due to poachers. This could be a big factor as to why we never see them in the wild. It's entirely up to you if you want to count this information from the anime as canon, however it is the closest thing we currently have to an explanation as to why these Pokemon are so rare to us. Of course, these are just a few theories that I have, and I'm sure there are plenty of other opinions out there. If you have a better idea, let me know, I would love to hear them. Finding any form of information on this sort of topic through the games or the manga or the anime was actually very difficult. A lot of the stuff that I found was on old GameFAQs websites and Reddit. It was very difficult to find anything on this topic. So if anyone has any opinions on this, I would absolutely love to hear it. It would be great. Thank you guys for watching. This has been a really interesting video to research and talk about, and I would love to see you again. So thank you for watching.